Hello, YouTube. Today, we're going to be doing some commentary. I'm going to be breaking down my gameplay into this plus 15 Motherlode. We're going to be offering some insight into my thought process and decision making as we progress through the dungeon. This run is a full pug, and I chose this run in particular for this video because I think it's just a perfect example of things that can go wrong in a pug. And things that you can do as a player on the fly to get your group back on track. So right here, right off the bat, I think the play is to just get all of your main demons out and just send your Tyrant, just because of how fast the mobs die. I don't really think it's worth it to get a bunch of hand casts off before your Tyrant is out, because halfway through your Tyrant window, half the mobs are dead. So I think it's better to just, get your 3 main demons out and pop your Tyrant here just for the beginning. And I don't know if Blizzard changed it or not with the whole imps pulling mobs or not, because I've jumped the wall before and I've seen them teleport to me. And then in other situations, I've also seen them run around the wall and pull that mech. So I just play it safe here. I implode my imps on the last pack, and then dismiss your pet, and then jump the wall. So as you can see, we did have 2 imps that spawned because of our talent, and that we have to take that talent. That talent spawns an imp once every 12 seconds. There's really nothing you can do about it because there's no target for you to implode on while we're skipping. So just do the best that you can do and implode your imps at the very end of the pull, and then dismiss your pet. If you have a priest and a night elf tank here, you can also soothe that pack on the left. And I've seen tanks pull the pack that's guarding the gate towards the right, and the group will hug the left wall, and then the tank will meld, and it'll reset that pack so you can skip it. You'll see groups do that, but right here, the tank didn't even link a route. We kind of just, zugged the whole key. So, not a big deal. We can pull this pack. It's not really going to hurt the timer that much. Okay, so right here for this boss, the main thing that I want to focus on here is getting my Tyrant out during the damage amp window. So we're going to hold our demons until we see the foot bomb launcher start coming up. So it's coming up, so we're going to pop all of our main demons here and get our Tyrant out. He's going to start launching the bombs. So we're gonna let these guys get the 2 bombs that are right next to me. They don't have a Tyrant to set up. They kind of just send their cooldowns. I kind of have to plan ahead. So I'll kick one bomb, but if I have a Tyrant to set up, I'm gonna let the other players get them unless I absolutely need to get the bombs. So we're gonna pop our shield here for the debuff. Second foot bomb launcher is coming up. We don't have a Tyrant to set up, so we're gonna help out with more bombs here. Okay, so right here, the damage amp phase is coming up in about 18 seconds, and I still don't know if it was the right decision for me to pop my Tyrant early or not, because what I'm thinking in my head here is I want more uses out of my Tyrant, and I definitely want my Tyrant up for the next pack, and the boss is already below 50% health. So I think it was an okay decision for me to pop my Tyrant here. I might have squeezed out, you know, some more DPS if I waited for the damage amp phase, but my thought process was just I wanted more uses out of my Tyrant here, so we popped our Tyrant early because we wanted it up for the next pull. Yeah, we're just gonna help out with the bombs here and get this boss dead. Again, we're using defensives for the debuff. See, and now the boss is dead and we have our Tyrant for the next pack. Okay, we're gonna get all of our demons out here. Gonna send our Tyrant. We're gonna pop our shield here. That rapid extraction that the extractor does a lot of damage, so you definitely want like some sort of defensive or like health stone, health pot, something. Especially when you have two here, definitely look to be using you know, some sort of personal. I've actually never seen a tank pull two here. This is kind of just like a pug situation. So if you get into a sticky situation, health stone, health pot, whatever you can do to stay alive. So what I'm focusing on mostly is getting as many tyrants out as I possibly can. Okay. Getting as many imps out as I can before popping my tyrant. Sometimes I'll pop it early just because there will be mechanics coming, or it'll be like there'll be times when I have to move. And if you're trying to squeeze out as many imps as you can, and then you have to move, by the time you're casting your tyrant, your big demons have despawned. So I would give yourself some breathing room when setting up your tyrant. You know, get a couple hand casts off, you know, just until you feel comfortable. You know, waiting until the very last second to pop your tyrant. Because if a mechanic comes up and you have to move and you lose your demons, you know, that's like a ton of damage that you're losing. So just play it safe and give yourself some breathing room when it comes to, you know, summoning your tyrant before your demons expire. Okay, right here, again, we're gonna get a tyrant out. You wanna be using your tyrant as much as possible. You wanna get as many uses as your tyrant out as you possibly can. Take that with a grain of salt because there are gonna be situations where you're gonna wanna hold your tyrant. One of those examples will be, you know, if the mobs don't have enough health, if you don't think they have enough health for them to last your full tyrant window, then I would hold. Or let's say you have a big pack coming up, that you absolutely need your Tyrant for, and you know it's not going to be ready unless you hold it, that's another situation. But situations like that are so far and few in between that I would mainly focus on just getting your Tyrant out as much as possible. So right here, we're just spreading Doom to as many targets as we can, and then we're just pumping as much damage as we can into the mini boss right here, but you want to make sure you're target swapping often to keep Doom on the target.
Watch your step. Watch your step.
So a little trick I like to use here, and I know pugs hate me for it, but being a Warlock, I'm super immobile. Like, all I have is Gate and Burning Rush. And I know healers hate it when I use Burning Rush because it does damage. It doesn't do that much damage, but still, it's damage that the healer has to heal while you're moving. So try to minimize using Burning Rush as much as possible unless you need to use it. You know, definitely use it, but just be aware that you're doing ticking damage, you know, every time you press it. So the trick I'm referring to is you can fear the mobs that are fixating you. And once they're feared, if there's another ranged player, they're either going to target you again or they're going to target the other ranged player. So because we have a hunter, hunters are really good at kiting. You know, even with marksmanship, you do have to cast with marksmanship, but you still have like a good amount of mobility as marksmanship. So if it's gonna be on anyone in this run, it should be the hunter. You know, I know some pugs hate it when I fear the target, so it'll fixate onto somebody else, so I can cast. But in my opinion, you know, it really shouldn't be fixating Warlocks. You know, we have to hard cast way too much. So I just think it's more trivial for it to be on another ranged player that's not Warlock. So if you get fixated, you can press Fear, you can press Mortal Coil. Those will both get rid of it. Your stun won't get rid of it. Your pet stun and your Shadow Fury both won't get rid of it. It just helps to control the mobs when they're fixating someone. So you'll see me using my Axe Toss and using my Shadow Fury to kind of help out the people that are being fixated.
Big ad. Target changed.
So right here, the boss is already low health. There's no point in focusing down the ad. So if the boss is low enough, I would say just nuke the boss, ignore the ad. Other than that, always stay on the ad, the buffed ad that takes extra damage. Always stay on him unless the boss is, you know, close to being dead.
Watch your step.
if you can, use your pet stun to interrupt the weapon testers. That's a really good stop for Demonology. So
Watch your step.
I would say just save it for that in these pulls.
Watch your step.
Okay, we're gonna hold off imploding here because our Tyrant's coming up, so we're gonna get a good amount of imps out here before we pop our Tyrant, and then we're just gonna build spend until our Tyrant is almost expired, and then we're gonna implode.
Watch your step. Watch your step. Watch your step.
Okay, so right here, the tank was going to pull one of the mechs in the back here. You can't see it, but there's a mech standing over there, and I've seen a bunch of tanks pull that mech with this boss just to save time, so I'm guessing that's what he was planning on doing. And I don't know what the hell happened with this hunter here. I guess he just accidentally clicked the boss and died, so the tank said, oh shit, I'm coming back. And then, unfortunately, the shaman dies here too. So, res the shaman really quickly. Res the hunter really quickly. And I don't know why the hunter wasn't taking the res, but we're just going to keep going. This boss is pretty much a target dummy, so I don't think you guys need any explanation on this. So while this boss is going, I'm just gonna give you guys some insight into what I'm thinking about when I'm like thinking about imploding. So as far as the implosions go, you don't really want to implode unless it's 3 targets or more. If it's less than 3 targets, I would hold off imploding unless you have, you know, like 20 plus imps and, you know, you're at the very end of your Tyrant. Then I think it would be a good idea to implode in single target. But aside from that, I would hold off imploding, you know, if you have less than 3 targets. If it's 3 targets or more, I've kind of like aimed for, you know, anywhere between like 12 and 18 imps. Like, the more you play the spec, the more you kind of get a general idea of when your imps are going to start to expire. I know there are weak auras out there that'll tell you the exact time your imps are going to expire, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that weak aura is like a little bit distracting, and I don't think it's that big of a deal to, you know, get like as many imps as you possibly can, you know, into this really short window for you to implode. I would just aim for like 12 to 18 if you're outside of your Tyrant window. If you're in your Tyrant window, you know, just implode at the very end of your Tyrant. Always, always. Unless you have a bunch of mobs that are close to dying, I would implode at the end of your Tyrant.
Watch your step. Watch your step.
Okay, so here he's gonna
Run.
pull 2 War Machines. This is a super dangerous
Watch your
pull.
step.
Because you have the 2 charge
your
shots that the War Machines do,
Run.
and it's gonna do a shit ton of damage. So because he pulled 2, you want to make sure you're popping a personal or a defensive every time you see that charge shot go off. So we didn't have defensives for that one, but we had our health stone. And a little tip for you guys is Soul Burn and Healthstone is your best friend for those, you know, oh shit moments. I don't have my defensives, but I have a Healthstone. Soul Burn is your best friend. Use it every time you use a Healthstone as much as you can. So what Soul Burn does, if you don't know, is it's gonna buff your Healthstone. It costs 1 Soul Shard to use Soul Burn, and it's gonna make your Healthstone heal for way more, like almost from 0 to full. It's like a lay on hands almost. So be using Soul Burn and Healthstone to go from really low health to almost full instantly. Use that as much as you can if you don't have defenses up. That's gonna save your life a lot.
Watch your step.
Okay, so right here we're trying to get our Tyrant out. You want to be focusing these mines down. Anytime you see these mines out as a ranged DPS player, I would hard swap them. Unless one of these War Machines is like almost dead, I would stay on the mines. Use your Shadow Fury, use your Axe Toss as CC. Help out your other players. You know, if you see a mine that's close to someone, use your Axe Toss. If you're, another tip is, if you're about to set up your Tyrant, you can use your Grimoire Felguard as an extra stun. It's really good. It's really good for situations like this. You can pop it on a mine really fastly, and you can have an extra stun. It's also really good in Floodgate, on those guys that shoot the RPGs. I'm trying to think of other situations. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but if you have Grimoire Felguard up and you're planning on, you know, stunning a mob, I would just pop it on a mob that's going to cast something right away. It's just an extra CC for your group, and you have to press Grimoire Felguard anyways. So why not use it on a mob, you know, that's going to cast something dangerous. Again here, we have 2 charged shots going off, so we're going to use our defensive here. Use your shield if you can. Use your Soul Burn, Healthstone if you can. Health Pot, anything you can to survive that charged shot. That's going to help you out a lot.
Run out.
Okay, so right here, I used to do this differently. I used to put the teleporter pad where I'm standing, and when he would target me with the missile, I would snap, back here where I'm standing, and then run back to where my group is. But after doing this boss a few times, I think the play here is to put your teleporter pad down where you see it right here on that spot. That spot is going to be the spot where you stand that's going to be free from those orange circles that you see spawning. It's very, very tight spot for you to stand, but if you stand there, you won't get hit by the orange circles. So what I do now is I'll run the missile out and then I'll snap back quickly so I'm safe from the missiles every time.
Keep moving.
So we're going to get our Tyrant out here quickly before he does the spin. And then we're just, it's just build, spend, use your procs, when they come up. Get your demons out as soon as they come off cooldown.
Keep moving.
Okay, we're going to wait for those orange circles, and then we're going to run out, and then we're going to snap back.
Keep moving.
Okay, so right here your group wants to be focusing down one of these ads at a time because they do a shit ton of damage. So
Target you.
whichever one your group is attacking, that's the one that you want to be on. You want to get one down first and then focus down the other one.
Target you.
Okay, so now the shield is broken. Now we're going to start setting up our Tyrant. Try to get as many imps out as you can.
Keep moving.
The trick I kind of use for getting as many imps out as I can before popping my Tyrant, whichever demon you have out that has the least amount of time remaining on it, I'll try to aim for like 3 seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds left on that demon when pressing my Tyrant. So I'll keep casting Hand of Gul'dan until I think, I'll have like 2 to 3 seconds left on my demon that has the least amount of time, and if that makes sense.
Keep moving.
Now you're gonna see we're gonna lose our healer here and the hunter. The boss is almost dead. We don't have any battle reses left.
Run out.
I'm gonna walk out here. I'm gonna pop my shield. I'm gonna pop my Tyrant. Try to get the boss down before I die. And then, thankfully we timed the dungeon. There was nothing else I could have done here. Everything was on cooldown. It was just the fact that the healer was dead. So we did end up timing it. It was a little rough at some places, but I think we handled it pretty well. That's gonna be it, guys. I hope you guys liked the video. If this helped you out, smash that like button. It really helps out the channel. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. if you want to see more content like this in the future, drop a comment. Let me know. Your feedback is really appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.